The message arrived on a Tuesday morning. Every screen on Earth suddenly went dark, then lit up with the same image. A tall figure made of glowing crystal stood in the center of the broadcast. Its voice echoed in every language at once. "I am Counselor Vexith of the Galactic Council. We speak for 4,000 civilizations across this galaxy. You are humanity. You are young. You are reckless. You must stop." Jiho Kim sat in his office in Geneva and watched the screen with tired eyes. He was 58 years old and had spent the last 3 years dealing with these alien politicians. He knew this moment was coming. The Council never liked species that moved too fast. "You will cease all expansion beyond your home system," Vexith continued. "You will surrender your military vessels to Council authority. You will accept our governors on all your worlds. You will submit to our guidance. You have 30 cycles to comply. If you refuse, we will use force." The screen went dark again. Around the world, people panicked. Stock markets crashed. Parents grabbed their children. Colony worlds millions of miles away flooded Earth with desperate calls. Jiho's phone rang. It was President Nari Yoon. "Emergency meeting. 1 hour, don't be late." The meeting room was packed. Military officers, scientists, politicians, all shouting at once. Admiral Mina Park stood at the front with her arms crossed. She was 45 and had never lost a battle, but today her face was grim. "We have 200 warships," she said bluntly. "The Council has over 1,000. Our weapons are good, but not good enough. If we fight conventionally, we lose in 3 days. Maybe 4 if we're lucky." A corporate representative stood up. "Then we accept their terms. We negotiate, we join their council and gain access to their markets." "No." President Yoon's voice cut through the room like ice. She was 49 with iron-gray hair and eyes that had seen humanity claw its way back from the edge of extinction. "I didn't rebuild this planet just to hand it over to alien bureaucrats." Jiho raised his hand. Everyone turned to look at him. "The ultimatum itself is unusual," he said quietly. "The Council doesn't usually give warnings. They destroy problem species without talking first. The fact that they're talking means something." "What does it mean?" asked a general. "It means they're afraid," Jiho replied. "They wouldn't waste time on ultimatums unless they thought we were dangerous." Dr. Hyunwoo Choi leaned forward. He was 52 with messy gray hair and coffee stains on his shirt. He ran the research center that had given humanity faster than light travel. "The ambassador is right. Think about it. We've been in space for 50 years. Most species take thousands of years to achieve what we've achieved. We don't just copy their technology. We improve it. We make it better. That terrifies them." A colonel named Dae Jung-han spoke up from the back. He was in charge of intelligence operations. "I have something to show you." He placed a data chip on the table. Ambassador Jiho smuggled this from the Council's central library. "It contains classified records going back 50,000 years. The room fell silent. Dae-jung loaded the files onto the main screen. Lists of species names appeared. Hundreds of them, all marked with the same red symbol. "These are species the Council destroyed," Dae-jung explained. "Not because they were violent, not because they were evil, but because they innovated too fast. Because they took alien technology and made it better. The Council calls it dangerous innovation. They've been doing this for 50,000 years. We're just the latest target." Admiral Park slammed her fist on the table. "So we're supposed to just accept death because we're too clever? That's insane." "No," said President Yoon slowly. "We're supposed to be smarter than everyone who came before us. Jiho, you know these people. You've negotiated with them. What do they expect us to do?" Jiho thought for a long moment. "They expect us to either surrender or fight. Those are the only 2 options they can imagine. Every species they've faced has done one or the other." "Then we do neither," said Yoon. "We give them a 3rd option, something they've never seen before." Dr. Hyunwoo smiled. It was not a kind smile. "I've been working on something. Project Prometheus. It's been classified until now." "What is it?" asked the Admiral. "Something that will change everything," Hyunwoo replied. "But I need more time to explain. And we need to decide how we're going to respond to this ultimatum." President Yoon stood up. "Here's what we're going to do. We're going to respond to their ultimatum in person. Jiho, you'll travel to the Nexus and deliver our answer directly to the Council chamber." Jiho nodded slowly. "They'll expect either surrender or defiance." "Exactly," Yoon smiled. "So we'll give them something completely different. We'll negotiate, not as inferiors begging for mercy, but as equals offering a deal. That's never been done before, said Jiho. Good. Then they won't know how to respond. Yoon turned to Admiral Park. Prepare the fleet. Defensive positions only. We're not starting a war. But if they start one, we'll be ready. Yes, ma'am, Park replied. Over the next few days, Earth prepared. Jiho selected a small team to accompany him. Captain Boranam would fly the diplomatic vessel. Dr. Yuna Song would analyze the Council's reactions. Colonel Dae Jung would provide security. Bora was 38 and the best pilot in the fleet. She had a daughter waiting at home. This might be a one-way trip, Jiho warned her. I know, Bora replied calmly. That's why I volunteered. Someone has to do it. Yuna was 34 and expert in alien languages and cultures. She had personal reasons for this mission. Her brother had died during humanity's first contact with the Council. She wanted answers. She wanted justice. The night before departure, Jiho met privately with Dr. Hyunwoo. Tell me about Prometheus. Hyunwoo's eyes gleamed. We've been studying ancient artifacts we found on Titan. They're from a civilization called the Architects. They existed millions of years ago. Their technology is far beyond anything the Council has. We've managed to reverse engineer one piece of it, a quantum displacement drive. What does it do? It allows instant travel to any point in space. No warp drive needed. No transit time. Just instant displacement. Hyunwoo paused. It's dangerous, unstable. 2 test pilots died. But it works, Jiho felt cold. You want to use it? If negotiations fail, we'll need leverage. Prometheus will give us that. Trust me. The next morning, the diplomatic vessel Resolute launched from Earth. Jiho stood on the bridge and watched his home planet shrink behind them. He wondered if he would ever see it again. Course set for the Nexus, Captain Bora reported. Travel time, 18 days. 3 Council warships appeared and took up escort positions around the Resolute. They weren't being friendly. They were making sure the humans didn't run. 18 days to prepare. 18 days to plan. 18 days before Jiho would stand before 4,000 alien civilizations and try to save humanity, with nothing but words and one desperate gamble. As the Resolute jumped into faster-than-light travel, President Yoon sent one final message to all human worlds. They asked us to surrender. They demanded we submit. They threatened us with destruction. We will give them our answer soon. Whatever happens next, remember this. Humanity does not kneel. Not to aliens, not to empires, not to anyone. We will find a way forward. We always do. Across Earth and all its colonies, 10 billion people held their breath and waited. The Nexus was bigger than anything Jiho had ever seen. It was a structure the size of a star, built by hands unknown, floating at the center of the galaxy. Billions of beings lived inside it. At its heart sat the council chamber where 4,000 civilizations made their laws. Captain Bora guided the Resolute through the docking procedures with steady hands. The 3 council warships that had followed them stayed close, watching, waiting. We're cleared to dock, Bora reported. Bay 17. There are security teams waiting. Of course there are, Jiho muttered. He straightened his suit and checked his appearance one last time. Dr. Yuna Song stood beside him, her face calm but her eyes sharp. Remember, Yuna said quietly, watch their body language. When they're confident, they stand tall. When they're uncertain, they shift their weight. I'll be monitoring everything. The docking clamps engaged with a heavy thud. Jiho took a deep breath. Let's go make history. The council chamber was vast. Rows and rows of seats rose up in a circle, each one occupied by a representative of a different species. Some looked like insects, others like plants. Some were mechanical, some were beings of pure energy. All of them turned to stare as the human delegation entered. At the center of the chamber stood Counselor Vexith, the crystalline being who had delivered the ultimatum. His voice boomed through the space. The human delegation will approach and deliver their response. Jiho walked forward alone. His footsteps echoed. He reached the center platform and looked up at the thousands of alien faces surrounding him. One human against an entire galaxy. Ambassador Kim, Vexith said coldly. Has humanity chosen to accept the Council's generous terms? Jiho smiled slightly. No. A ripple of shock went through the chamber. Vexith's crystalline form brightened with anger. Then you choose war. Foolish primitives. We don't choose war either, Jiho replied calmly. We choose a third option. We propose a mutual non-aggression treaty. Earth will cease expansion into Council territories. In exchange, the Council will recognize our sovereignty over the systems we currently occupy. Furthermore, we offer a full technology exchange. We share our innovations with you. You share yours with us. Everyone benefits. The chamber erupted in chaos. Councilors shouted in hundreds of languages. Some laughed. Others looked furious. No species had ever tried to negotiate with the Council as equals before. Vexith raised his hand for silence. You dare to negotiate? You have no power here. You are insects before us. If we're insects, Jiho asked quietly, then why are you afraid? The chamber fell silent. Vexith's glow flickered. You gave us an ultimatum, Jiho continued. You didn't just destroy us. That means you think destroying us would cost too much. That means you think we're dangerous. So let me prove it. Jiho activated a holographic display. Technical diagrams filled the air above him. This is the Alcubierre Kim drive, our faster-than-light engine. You'll notice it's based on Council drive principles, but we've improved it. 40% greater efficiency, 20% faster transit times. We did this in 50 years. How long did it take you? The silence was deafening. From her position at the edge of the chamber, Yuna watched the councilors carefully. Many of the younger species representatives were leaning forward with interest. The older ones looked angry. Perfect. A voice spoke from the upper seats. The human speaks truth. It was a reptilian counselor named Thane Rix. I have reviewed their drive specifications. Their improvements are real. They have surpassed our efficiency in this specific technology. Vexith turned on Thane with fury. Traitor. You side with primitives? I side with facts, Thane replied calmly. The human ambassador makes a valid point. If they can improve our technology so quickly, perhaps they are worth listening to rather than destroying. Other counselors began arguing. The chamber descended into shouting matches. Jiho stood quietly in the center and let them fight. This was exactly what he wanted. Division, uncertainty, doubt. Finally, Vexith called for order. We will recess to deliberate. The human delegation will remain under guard. As the chamber emptied, Counselor Thane approached Jiho privately. His vertical pupils studied the human carefully. You're clever, Ambassador. But cleverness won't save you. The hardliners on the council will never accept negotiation. They see your kind as an existential threat. Why are you helping us? Jiho asked. Because I'm tired of this empire, Thane said quietly. The council has ruled for 50,000 years through fear and suppression. I've always believed there must be a better way. Perhaps your species will show us what that way looks like. He paused. Or perhaps you'll die trying. Either way, at least you tried. During the recess, Yuna slipped away from the guards. She had noticed something during the session. A pattern in the council's security systems. A gap she could exploit. She made her way to a public data terminal and plugged in a small device. Her fingers flew across the controls. The device cracked the terminal's encryption. Files began downloading. Classified files. Historical records. Suppression protocols. Evidence of 47 species destroyed over 50,000 years. All of them guilty of the same crime, innovating too quickly. But there was more. References to something called the Architects. A civilization that built the Nexus millions of years ago. The Council didn't build this place. They found it. They stole it. Their entire authority was built on a lie. Got you, Yuna whispered. Back on Earth, things were moving quickly. Admiral Mina Park stood in the command center watching tactical displays. Report, she ordered. Council fleets are mobilizing, an officer reported. They're moving into attack positions near our border systems. Execute Contingency Plan Delta, Park commanded. Scatter the fleet along their trade routes. We won't mass for battle. We'll position for economic warfare. If they attack us, we'll make them bleed credits. Yes, Admiral. In his laboratory beneath the moon's surface, Dr. Hyunwoo Choi worked frantically. Commander Taeyang Shin stood beside him, monitoring the Prometheus protocol systems. The quantum displacement drives are ready, Taeyang reported. All 50 probes are armed and positioned. Good, Hyunwoo said. President Yoon has authorized activation if negotiations fail. We'll show the Council what humanity can really do. Are you sure this will work? Taeyang asked nervously. The test runs were unstable. It'll work, Hyunwoo said with more confidence than he felt. It has to. The council session reconvened. Jiho returned to the center platform. Vexith looked even angrier than before. We have deliberated. The council rejects your proposal. You will surrender or face annihilation. I don't think so, said a voice. It was Thane Rick standing up from his seat. I call for a formal vote on the human proposal. Council law requires it. Vexith's crystalline form blazed with rage. You dare? I dare, Thane replied. The vote must be held. Other councilors began standing. Dozens of them. Then hundreds. All from younger species. All tired of the founder species' control. All seeing in humanity a chance for change. The vote will proceed, Thane declared. The chamber erupted. The council was splitting. Right down the middle. Younger species versus the old guard. Innovation versus tradition. Progress versus control. Then the alarms started blaring. Red lights flashed throughout the chamber. Security forces scrambled. A panicked voice echoed through the speakers. Breach! Multiple breaches! Unknown vessels have appeared in orbit of every council homeworld. How did they get past our defenses? Jiho allowed himself a small smile. Right on time. Across the galaxy, in orbit of 4,000 different planets, small human probes materialized out of nowhere. They appeared simultaneously, bypassing every defense system, every early warning network. The quantum displacement drives had worked perfectly. Each probe broadcast the same message in every known language. Earth greets the people of the galaxy. We come in peace. We offer cooperation as equals. This transmission proves we can reach any world at any time. Choose wisely. Then, before any council forces could respond, the probes vanished. They jumped back to Earth space, leaving no trace except the impossible fact of their appearance. In the council chamber, chaos reigned. Every councilor's homeworld was reporting the same impossible breach. Their defenses were useless. Their mighty empire was suddenly vulnerable. Vexith pointed at Jiho with a trembling appendage. What have you done? Jiho's smile widened. Demonstrated that humanity is not as primitive as you think. We can reach anywhere, anytime. We chose to send messages instead of weapons, but we could have sent weapons. Remember that. This is an act of war, Vexith screamed. No, Thane Rick said firmly. This is a demonstration of capability. The humans showed restraint. They could have attacked but chose not to. That shows wisdom, not aggression. The vote was called. For the first time in 50,000 years, the Galactic Council was divided. The old order was crumbling, and humanity had struck the first crack. The galaxy was talking. On every world, in every home, beings watched the human broadcasts and wondered what it meant. If Earth could reach anywhere instantly, what did that say about the Council's power? What did it say about the entire galactic order? In the council chamber, Vexith raged. This is impossible. No species should possess such technology. They must have stolen it. We didn't steal anything, Jiho replied calmly. We discovered ancient artifacts on one of our moons. Artifacts from a civilization called the Architects. We studied them. We learned from them. We built something new. The chamber went quiet. The name Architects hung in the air like a ghost. Yuna noticed the older counselors exchanging nervous glances. They knew something they didn't want revealed. The Architects are a myth, Vexith said quickly. Ancient legends. Nothing more, are they? Yuna stepped forward, holding up a data device. Because I found something interesting in your archives. Classified files that mention the Architects quite a bit. Files that say this very station, the Nexus itself, was built by them. Files that say you didn't create this place. You found it. You claimed it as your own and built an empire on stolen technology. Pandemonium erupted. Counselors shouted accusations and denials. Some demanded to see the files. Others called for Yuna's arrest. The Founder's species representatives looked terrified. Thane Rick stood up. Is this true? Did the Founders lie to us for 50,000 years? Vexith's crystalline form flickered with unstable energy. Lies, the human speaks lies. Then let us examine the evidence, suggested Thane. Let us see these files she claims to have found. No. Vexith's shout echoed through the chamber. We will not dignify these accusations with investigation. The Council's authority is absolute. Any who question it will be punished. But it was too late. Yuna had already transmitted the files to every counselor's personal terminal. Thousands of beings began reading the truth. The Architects had built the Nexus. The Architects had created the advanced technology the Council used. The Founders had discovered it all and claimed credit for themselves. More than that, the files revealed the Council's true purpose. They didn't suppress innovative species out of caution. They did it to prevent anyone from discovering the truth. Any species smart enough to advance quickly might figure out that the Council's technology wasn't original, might start asking questions, might threaten the lie that kept the founders in power. A young counselor from a species called the Praxis Union stood up. Her name was Hana Kwan, and she had always questioned the Council's methods. This changes everything. If the founders have been lying to us for millennia, then their authority is false. We owe them no allegiance. Traitor! Vexith screamed. Guards, arrest them all! Security forces moved toward Jiho and his team. But Thane Rix moved faster. He stood between them and the humans. No, I invoke Council Law, Section 47. Any member may protect a speaker until their evidence has been properly examined. The humans have presented evidence. It must be reviewed. Other counselors joined Thane, forming a protective circle around the human delegation. The security forces hesitated, unsure what to do. The Council was fracturing in real time. Vexith realized he was losing control. His entire civilization's power base was crumbling. He made a desperate decision. By the authority of the founder species, I declare a state of emergency. All deliberations are suspended. The human delegation is to be detained. Any who resist will be charged with treason. You have no authority, Hana shouted. Not anymore. Back on Earth, President Yoon watched the Council feed with growing tension. Things were spiraling out of control. She turned to Dr. Hyun-woo. How long until Prometheus is ready for a second deployment? The drives need time to recharge, Hyun-woo replied. At least 12 hours. But President, there's something you need to know. The quantum jumps created unusual energy signatures. Something detected them. Something big. What do you mean, something? Commander Tae-yang pulled up sensor data on the main screen. We've detected massive objects moving through deep space. They're headed toward the galactic core, toward the Nexus, and toward us. What are they? Yoon asked. We don't know, Hyun-woo admitted. But the energy signatures match the artifacts on Titan. I think they're architect technology. I think we woke something up. Admiral Park entered the command center. Our fleet is in position. But President, if those things are hostile, we won't be able to stop them. Our weapons are designed to fight council ships, not ancient alien technology. Yoon stared at the sensor data. Whatever was coming would arrive in 72 hours. They had 3 days to prepare for something they didn't understand and couldn't fight. At the Nexus, Jiho received an encrypted message from Earth warning him about the incoming objects. He showed it to Thane and Hana during a brief recess. The architects, Thane whispered. The old text said they would return if their technology was misused. We always thought it was superstition. What do they want? Hana asked. Judgment, Thane replied. The architects built their technology with safeguards. They wanted to ensure that only worthy species could use their most advanced creations. The Council found their technology and tried to claim it without proving worthy. Perhaps that's why the Council's development has been limited. Perhaps the architects never truly left. Captain Bora approached them urgently. We have another problem. I've detected unusual energy readings from the Nexus core. Something down there is activating. Something powerful. Jiho made a decision. We need to get down there. Whatever's activating might be connected to the architects. It might tell us what's coming. The core is restricted, Hana warned. No one has been allowed down there for thousands of years. Then it's time someone went, Bora said. She called Lieutenant Subin Kang and assembled a small team. They would infiltrate the core while the Council was distracted by politics. The core entrance was guarded by automated defenses that hadn't been activated in millennia. As Bora's team approached, they suddenly powered up. Laser grids appeared. Gun turrets emerged from the walls. They knew we were coming, Subin said, checking her weapon. Someone told the defenses. Or something new, Bora replied. These systems are architect technology. Maybe they're responding to the quantum signatures. Maybe they're testing us. They fought their way through the defenses using tactics and teamwork to overcome superior firepower. The architects had built their systems to stop brute force, but not creativity and adaptation. Finally, they reached the core chamber. It was vast, filled with technology that hummed with barely contained power. At the center floated a holographic interface displaying symbols none of them recognized. Bora approached it carefully. As she got close, the symbols shifted into human language. Welcome, curious ones. You have passed the first test by reaching this place. Now we shall see if you are worthy of what comes next. Who are you? Bora asked. We are the Arbiter. We were created by the architects to ensure their legacy would only be inherited by those who deserve it. The Council failed our test 50,000 years ago. They sought power without wisdom. We limited their development as punishment. Now you have activated our systems. Now you must face judgment. What kind of judgment? Subin asked. You will be tested. Your species will be evaluated. If you pass, you will inherit the architect's knowledge and take your place among the worthy. If you fail, you will be limited as the Council was, prevented from advancing beyond your current state. The test begins in 72 hours when we arrive at your homeworld. The hologram flickered and displayed an image. A massive geometric construct kilometers across made of materials that shouldn't exist. This is our form. We are coming. Prepare yourselves. Bora transmitted everything to Earth and to Jiho. The revelation spread quickly. The Council had failed an ancient test. Humanity was about to face the same test. Everything they had done, everything they had fought for was leading to this moment. In the Council chamber, Vexith made his final move. If the Arbiter is coming, then we have no choice. We must unite against this threat. I propose an emergency measure. We grant the humans temporary recognition in exchange for their help defending against the Arbiter. Jiho almost laughed. Now you want our help? After threatening to destroy us? The Arbiter threatens us all, Vexith said. We must stand together. No, Thane interrupted. This is not a threat to defeat. This is a test to pass. The humans understand that. You do not. That is why they will pass and you will fail again. The Council split completely. Half followed Vexith and the Founders, preparing for war against the Arbiter. Half followed Thane and the Reformers, preparing to support humanity and face the test with honor. Jiho contacted President Yoon. We need to go home. The test will happen at Earth, that's where we need to be. Understood, Yoon replied. Come home, Ambassador. We have work to do. The Resolute launched from the Nexus, racing back to Earth. Behind them, the galaxy held its breath. In 72 hours, humanity would face the Arbiter. The entire galaxy would watch to see if Earth could succeed where the Council had failed. The test was coming. And with it, the chance to reshape the galaxy forever. The Arbiter appeared exactly 72 hours later. It materialized in Earth orbit without warning. A massive geometric structure that seemed to exist in more dimensions than human eyes could process. Looking at it made people dizzy. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Every quantum system on Earth and its colonies flickered and died, then restarted. The Arbiter's presence interfered with the very fabric of space-time. Dr. Hyunwoo's instruments went haywire. Nothing in human knowledge could explain what they were seeing. Then it spoke. Not through radio waves or any technology humans understood. It spoke directly into the minds of every person on Earth simultaneously. Humanity. We are the Arbiter. You have activated architect systems. You have demonstrated capability. Now you will demonstrate worthiness. President Yoon stood in the command center surrounded by her advisors. She responded aloud, knowing somehow that the Arbiter would hear. We're listening. What must we do? The architects created their technology to serve life, not to dominate it. Species that seek power to control others are deemed unworthy. Species that seek power to cooperate and grow are deemed worthy. You will be tested. Your choice will determine your future. A holographic display appeared in the command center, visible to everyone. It showed two paths. In one path, Earth received full access to architect technology, weapons and power beyond imagination, enough to dominate the entire galaxy. But to gain this, humanity would have to use it to enforce order, to prevent other species from threatening human supremacy. The second path showed something different. Architect technology would be shared equally among all species willing to cooperate peacefully. No one would dominate. Everyone would advance together. But it meant accepting risk, trusting others, giving up the safety of absolute power. Choose, the Arbiter said. Power over others or power with others. Your answer will be final. The command center was silent. Admiral Park spoke first. It's a trap. The first option looks good, but it's exactly what the Council chose. They failed because they wanted to dominate. But the second option leaves us vulnerable, a general argued. If we share this technology and another species misuses it, they could destroy us. That's the test, Dr. Hyunwoo said quietly. The Arbiter wants to know if we'll choose security through domination or growth through cooperation. One is safe but wrong. The other is risky but right. President Yoon turned to Jiho, who had just returned from the Nexus. Ambassador, you've dealt with the Council. You've seen what happens when species choose power over principle. What do you recommend? Jiho looked tired but certain. We didn't come this far just to become another council. We fought for the right to advance on our own terms. If we choose domination now, we betray everything we stood for. We choose cooperation, even if it's risky. I agree, said Admiral Park. My whole life I've trained to fight. But I've learned that real strength isn't about crushing your enemies. It's about not needing to. President Yoon nodded slowly. She knew this decision would define humanity's future for millennia. She stepped forward and addressed the Arbiter directly. We reject the first path. We will not seek to dominate others. Instead, we propose a different answer. Share the Architect's knowledge with all species willing to use it peacefully. Create a system where everyone can advance together. Earth will contribute our quantum technology to this shared pool, demonstrating our commitment to cooperation. The Arbiter was silent for a long moment. Calculations ran through its vast intelligence, processing humanity's response against 50,000 years of data. President Yoon held her breath. Around the world, 10 billion people waited for judgment. Your answer demonstrates wisdom, the Arbiter finally said. The Architects created us to ensure their legacy would only be inherited by species who understand that true power comes from lifting others up, not pushing them down. The Council failed this test 50,000 years ago by choosing domination. You have passed by choosing cooperation. Relief flooded through the command center, but the Arbiter wasn't finished. However, passing the test is only the beginning. You must now prove you can maintain these principles under pressure. Other species will test your commitment. Some will try to exploit your openness. Some will see cooperation as weakness. Can you remain true to your choice when it becomes difficult? We can, Yoon said firmly. And we will. Then access to Architect knowledge is granted. You will serve as liaisons, helping guide other species through this same evaluation. The network of worthy species grows. Welcome to it, humanity. Information flooded into Earth systems, not all at once, but in measured amounts. The Arbiter was teaching humanity gradually, ensuring they understood each concept before moving to the next. It was more than just technology. It was philosophy, mathematics, biology, physics at levels humanity had never imagined. Dr. Hyun Woo and Commander Tai Yang stood in their laboratory, watching data flow across their screens. Tears ran down Hyun Woo's face. It's beautiful. The Architects understood things we haven't even thought to ask about. This will take us centuries to fully comprehend. Then we better get started, Tai Yang replied with a smile. At the Nexus, the Council was in chaos. News of humanity's success had spread instantly. Younger species were in open revolt against the founders. Councillor Thane led a coalition demanding new leadership based on merit rather than age. Representative Hana Kwan stood before the fractured assembly. The old council is dead. We propose something new. A galactic assembly built on cooperation instead of domination. With Earth as our example, we can create a better galaxy. Who will join us? Hundreds of species stood in support. The founder species, including Vexith, retreated to their home territories, refusing to accept the new order. But they were now a minority. The galaxy was changing. Jiho addressed the new assembly. Earth offers our hand in friendship. We'll share what we've learned. We'll help build this new future together, but we won't force anyone. Cooperation must be freely chosen, or it isn't real cooperation. The applause that followed shook the chamber. Back on Earth, Admiral Park oversaw the reorganization of the fleet. They were still ready to defend humanity, but now they also trained joint exercises with species from the new assembly. Former enemies became allies. Trust built slowly but steadily. Captain Bora returned to Earth and was reunited with her daughter. She held the little girl tight and whispered, "I helped make the galaxy safer for you. I hope you're proud of me." Dr. Yuna Song achieved her goal of finding justice for her brother. The council files she'd stolen proved that his death was part of the suppression protocols. The species responsible were now facing judgment from the new assembly. It wasn't revenge, but it was closure. Not everyone on Earth was happy with the decision to share technology. Nationalist groups protested, arguing that humanity should have claimed power for itself. President Yoon addressed these concerns in a public broadcast. I understand your fear. Sharing power feels risky, but consider what we've accomplished. We stood up to an empire that had ruled for 50,000 years. We didn't do it by being stronger. We did it by being smarter and braver. We chose principles over power. That's what makes humanity special. Not our weapons or our technology, but our willingness to do what's right even when it's hard. The protests quieted. Not everyone agreed, but most people understood. Earth had chosen a difficult path, but it was the right path. The Arbiter remained in Earth orbit, a silent guardian. Occasionally it communicated with human researchers, answering questions and providing guidance. It explained that there were other arbiters throughout the galaxy, each one testing species that reached certain technological thresholds. Most species failed. A few passed. Those who passed formed a loose network spanning the galaxy, quietly cooperating and advancing together. How many species have passed the test? Dr. Hyunwoo asked. In this galaxy, 47 including yourselves, the Arbiter replied. It is a small number, but it grows. Each worthy species helps guide others. Your role now is to assist in this process. We're ready, Hyunwoo said. Months passed. The new Galactic Assembly grew stronger. Trade networks reopened under fairer terms. Species that had been suppressed for millennia finally had chances to advance. The galaxy was healing from 50,000 years of authoritarian control. But the old council remnants hadn't given up. Vexith and the founder species gathered their forces in their core territories. They saw the new assembly as a threat to their rightful authority. They began planning a counterattack, determined to reclaim their power. Admiral Park received intelligence reports about council fleet movements. She brought them to President Yoon. They're not accepting defeat. They're preparing for war. Yoon studied the reports carefully. Then we prepared to defend the assembly. But we don't strike first. We gave up the right to domination. That includes dominating the council remnants. We defend, but we don't conquer. Understood, Park replied. But ma'am, they outnumber us significantly. If they attack in force, it will be difficult. We won't be alone, Yoon said with a slight smile. We have allies now. Real allies, not subjects. Let's see how the council handles fighting against species that chose to stand together, rather than being forced to kneel. The confrontation was coming, but humanity was ready. They had passed the Arbiter's test. 5 years had passed since the Arbiter's judgment. Earth had changed in ways that would have seemed impossible before. Human colonies flourished across 300 star systems. The population had grown to 15 billion, spread across dozens of worlds, each one unique and thriving. But the bigger change was in how humanity saw itself. They were no longer alone, fighting for survival against an uncaring galaxy. They were part of something larger. The Galactic Assembly now included over 2,000 species, all committed to cooperation and mutual advancement. President Yoon stood at the window of her office, looking out at the rebuilt Geneva skyline. Tomorrow she would give her farewell address. After 2 terms leading humanity through its greatest crisis, she was ready to step down. Her successor had already been chosen through democratic election, a coalition government that represented humanity's diverse colonies and perspectives. Ambassador Jiho entered her office. He was now the chairman of the Galactic Assembly, spending most of his time at the Nexus coordinating between thousands of species. But he'd returned to Earth for Yoon's final day in office. How does it feel? Jiho asked. Knowing you saved humanity and then voluntarily gave up power? Yoon smiled. Relieved, actually. I've carried this weight for so long. It's time for others to carry it forward. Besides, I didn't save humanity alone. We all did it together. That's the point, isn't it? It is, Jiho agreed. The Assembly is working better than I ever imagined. Species that were enemies for millennia are now cooperating. Trade is flourishing. Scientific breakthroughs happen daily. The Arbiter was right. Cooperation makes everyone stronger. What about the council remnants? Yoon asked. I've heard reports that Vexith is still causing trouble. Jiho's expression darkened slightly. The founder species control about 300 systems now. They've built themselves into an isolated fortress. They occasionally raid assembly shipping or try to sabotage our projects, but they're not the threat they once were. Most of their former subjects have abandoned them. Will they ever accept the new order? Some might eventually. Others never will. That's their choice. We can't force them to change. We can only defend ourselves and hope they see the benefits of cooperation over time. Admiral Park had transformed the Terran Defense Fleet into something new. It was still capable of defending humanity and its allies, but now it also served as a training ground for joint military exercises with dozens of other species. Former Council warships now flew alongside human vessels in defense of the Assembly. Park stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, now the flagship of the Assembly Defense Force, watching a training exercise. Ships from 20 different species maneuvered in perfect coordination. It was beautiful. "Admiral," her communications officer called out, "we're receiving a distress signal from the outer territories. Council remnant forces are attacking a trading convoy." "All ships break off exercises," Park ordered. "Form up and prepare for combat operations." "We respond as one." The fleet jumped to the coordinates. They found 3 Council warships attacking a convoy of unarmed merchant vessels. The Assembly fleet outnumbered the attackers 4-1. Park opened a channel to the Council ships. "Council vessels, you are attacking civilian targets in Assembly space. Stand down immediately or face consequences." The lead Council ship responded with defiance. "The Assembly has no authority here. These systems belong to the Council by ancient right." "Ancient rights mean nothing to the beings living here now," Park replied. "They chose the Assembly, you lost. Accept it and leave peacefully or we'll make you leave." The Council ships tried to fight. It was over in minutes. The Assembly fleet disabled their weapons and engines without destroying them. Park had the damaged ships towed back to Council space with a message for Vexith. The Assembly would defend its members, but it wouldn't pursue vengeance. Every species had the choice to join or stay away, but they couldn't have both. In his laboratory, Dr. Hyunwoo Choi worked alongside scientists from a dozen different species. They were studying architect technology together, sharing insights and discoveries. What would have taken humanity centuries to understand alone was being accomplished in years through cooperation. Commander Taeyang Shin had become the Assembly's chief engineer for quantum systems. His quantum displacement drives were being refined and improved with help from species that brought their own unique perspectives. The technology was safer now, more stable, more reliable. "We're making progress faster than I ever imagined," Hyunwoo said during a break. The Arbiter was right. Cooperation multiplies our capabilities. "It's not just the technical knowledge," added a scientist from the Praxis Union. "It's the different ways of thinking. Your species approaches problems differently than mine. Together we see solutions neither of us would find alone." Captain Bora Nam had become an instructor at the Assembly's new flight academy. She trained pilots from hundreds of species, teaching them not just how to fly but how to fly together. Her daughter, now 10 years old, often visited the academy and dreamed of becoming a pilot herself one day. Dr. Unisong ran the Assembly's cultural exchange program. She helped species understand each other's languages, customs, and perspectives. Her work in bridging cultural differences was considered just as important as any technological advancement. Understanding prevented conflicts before they started. Councillor Thane Ricks, now one of the senior members of the Assembly, worked closely with Jiho to expand their reach. New species joined regularly, each one going through orientation programs that helped them understand the Assembly's principles. "We're approaching a critical milestone," Thane told Jiho during one of their meetings. 3,000 member species, half the galaxy. The old council at its peak had 4,000 members, but most were forced into membership. Our 3,000 chose to join freely. "That makes us stronger, not weaker." "What about the other half?" Jiho asked. "Some are still considering. Some have chosen isolation. Some remain loyal to the council remnants. We can't force them to join. We can only make the benefits of membership clear and let them decide." The Arbiter remained in Earth's orbit, a constant presence. It occasionally sent guidance or answered questions, but mostly it observed. Dr. Hyunwoo had long conversations with it, learning not just about architect technology, but about the philosophy behind it. "The architects made a mistake," the Arbiter explained one day. "They became so advanced that they believed they no longer needed others. They isolated themselves and eventually created an artificial intelligence to handle all their needs. That AI consumed them. They perished from their own success, having forgotten that connection and cooperation are what give life meaning." "Is that why you test species?" Hyunwoo asked. "To make sure they don't repeat that mistake?" "Yes, technology is dangerous without wisdom. Power corrupts without principle. The test ensures that species understand these truths before they gain access to world-changing capabilities. Will humanity face other tests? Every day is a test, the Arbiter replied. You chose cooperation once. You must choose it again and again, especially when it becomes difficult. That is the true challenge. President Yoon gave her farewell address to Earth and all its colonies. Billions watched as she stood at the podium for the last time. 5 years ago, we faced annihilation. An empire that had ruled for 50,000 years demanded our surrender. We said no, but we didn't just say no. We offered something better. We showed them that strength comes from cooperation, not domination. That true power is shared, not hoarded. She paused, looking out at the crowd. We passed a test that day. Not just the Arbiter's test, but our own test of character. We chose principle over safety. We chose ideals over expedience. We chose to be the species we wanted to be, not the species others expected us to be. That choice defined us. It showed the galaxy what humanity stands for, and it changed everything. Today, thousands of species work together in peace. Knowledge flows freely. Barriers fall. Understanding grows. This is what we fought for. This is what we achieved. But the work isn't finished. It never will be. Every generation must choose cooperation again. Every person must decide whether to build bridges or walls. I trust you to make the right choice. I trust humanity to continue being worthy of the architect's legacy. Thank you for the honor of leading you. Thank you for proving that humanity's greatest strength isn't our weapons or our technology. It's our willingness to do what's right even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. The applause lasted for 10 minutes. People cried. They cheered. They remembered the fear they'd felt 5 years ago and the pride they felt now. Humanity had not just survived. They'd shown the galaxy a better way. On the Nexus, now a museum and cultural center rather than a seat of authoritarian power, a monument was unveiled. It listed the names of 47 species the Council had destroyed for advancing too quickly. Representative Hana Kwan spoke at the dedication. We remember them. We honor them. They were punished for showing potential. We survived by honoring that potential in ourselves and others. May we never forget the difference. Ambassador Jiho stood beside her, looking at the names carved in stone. So many lost because fear ruled instead of hope. He made a silent promise to them. Their deaths would not be meaningless. The galaxy they died in was gone,